Christopher Richards. Christopher, how are you? And I'm excited to learn about UX Bright. We're going to go into a lot of different topics, but we kind of like want to just, how did this all start for you?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Neil. Doing wonderful this morning. UX Bright was born actually right out of COVID. I was coming off of the heels of my first tech startup. It was called Prisma Systems. We were helping automate product photography in e-commerce space. So it's a really big problem. Did venture capital fundraising, grew that team, and then sold that business around the beginning of 2020. And then like most people, right? World is ending. What am I going to do with my life, right? That was kind of the biggest question. But as things started to get better around the beginning of 2021, I've started to see the entrepreneur community bounce back, right? I saw this resiliency and this just urge to really get back out there and start building their businesses and their dreams again. So that's where I switched over to running UX Bright, where we do product consulting. So we mostly focus on helping software as a service business owners, help them achieve their technical visions from the technical perspective, and then also some branding and advisory pieces. So found an incredible amount of joy just doing that, and it's been a great 4-year journey so far.
What are you seeing with what's happening with software as a service? We can probably gonna have a topic of AI all day long, and
Right.
right, because AI has made it like I've thought of softwares I could create today. But what are you seeing from the ones that are being profitable that you're starting to work with? Because you start working
Yeah,
to look at their
absolutely.
overall brand product. Because again, people create a software in seconds. Doesn't mean it's going to sell.
That's right. So when I got my start in 2016, this was like really where a lot of SaaS products really started to kick off, and you start to see sort of this hyper growth of different startups that came out of nowhere. And what you're starting to see, especially after COVID, is what I would call value correction. A lot of the companies that were raising a bunch of money but didn't have any product, a lot of those businesses fizzled out, right? And what you're starting to see now is this refocus towards value and the user experience is becoming even more prevalent, right? Some of the biggest drivers, right, are our individual sentiments as people. We're tired of software services, right? I'm tired of getting, chipped out of every dollar that I get coming into my. So most people have subscription fatigue, and so businesses are also looking at different ways for how do you monetize the software value that you have. So you have these aspects of monetization. How should your go-to-market strategy is completely different. So from now versus then, and uh, ultimately your team, right? That's a big aspect. Do you have specialized talent that can help you, achieve some of those really big neat pieces? And like you said, we haven't even touched on AI. That's already
No, that we have about
mentioned.
20,000 topics. And when I'm going to be doing TikTok lives on the Media Giant marketing thing, because I'm going to have another thing where they'll just hear the guest. But I'm sure when we get into these AI conversations, they're going to be quite interesting on TikTok, which I end up streaming. And I'm really going to be kicking that off for clients in 2025. How to grow your TikTok and blow it up, because it's
Right.
such an unbelievable platform to get what used to be Facebook. All right, so let's go. So let's just talk about types of softwares with a service that you've worked with, giving you some of those examples.
Yeah. We've worked with quite a few different verticals, especially in my consulting career. To give you, just a few example, we've done some work in medical companies. We've helped this company called BookMD, which is basically like go find your doctor nearest me, right? Whatever symptoms you have. And so it's a plastic surgeon out of New York, 26 plus year career doctor, and he's building this platform from the ground up and had been working on it for years. And so we came in as a product consultant and helped out in that regard. So we've done medical companies. I've seen software as a service for AI based items. Um, we're also doing some work for a security compliance company right now that's making security compliance easy through software. So there are really a lot of different applications to software as a service, and it seems to be bleeding into a lot of different industries, a lot of cross pollination, to kind of come up with different ways of going to market.
Well, I
Um,
find it fascinating to look at, especially with the opportunities in AI. But software as a service has always been popular. So if someone would hire UX Bright, what do they do? Kind of explain that in a nutshell.
Yeah, so yeah, ideally, we're looking for driven, forward thinking, founders or executive teams that are looking to implement a new digital experience or improve the digital experience they currently have. Oftentimes we help people from ideation and conception all the way to design, build, and release, right? And then, if you're someone who already maybe has a product team, maybe you're just looking to complement sort of what your team already does, and you sort of want to sharpen your sharpen your tool belt of different skill sets that you have. So we've come in and worked for a couple different companies working as a product owner, just helping them make sense of all the different technical pieces that are moving within the team, and then translating that into layman's terms for the business owners, right? Because they have so many important pieces of their day that's taken up, they can't necessarily focus on tech. I make sure that they get everything in a nice report, understand kind of what the moving things are, and what project decision implications should you be aware of. And you know we really encompass we really bring a lot of our SaaS and startup experience to what we do. And so when we have conversations with clients, we're already speaking their language, right?
Hmm.
Of how do we grow SaaS businesses? How do I market this thing? What it makes sense in terms of product implementation.
So it's from pretty much from product conception to product launch of potential. So if I said to you, I want to create a software as a service, I come to you, you tell me what your price structure is, but you're going to help it so it can go to market.
Correct.
That's big, right?
Yeah, and that's the other big distinction too. A lot of firms, they'll just build it and they won't build it like it's yours, right? We take a lot of technical ownership for a lot of the projects that we do. A lot of the clients we want to build long-term relationships with. So when we're building this in the sense of, hey, we know what the founder's vision is. We're aligned with that, and our values are aligned, and we're gonna build it like it's ours and be as dedicated, because I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is people hire a lot of different hands to kind of be in the kitchen, and some hands mess it up, right? We want to make sure we're guiding hands together when it comes to deploying or commercializing your product. So
That's it. And I think it's fantastic. One person definitely want to, I already think about people. The days, this is where SaaS is software as a service has kind of changed in so many ways, is the fact that applications were the first thing, apps, then
mhm.
certain the softwares, but ultimately lots of people talk about, I want to build an app. Is that outdated at this point? You say building an app, or is it just part of if you have this idea? Like lots of companies want to
Yeah.
say, we want to build an app and monetize that app.
It's part of that same idea if you want to launch a product. So some products you may not need, if you're business to business, you probably don't need an app, right? You may, if you're like a services based software as a service. If you're a business to consumer based business, probably makes sense to have a mobile app, right? Um, I think as long as your users have some type of digital interaction through your product, whether it's web or mobile, that makes sense. Now, mobile is increasingly taking over desktop and web in terms of usage, right? Everyone's
Yeah,
on the phone, right? So it does play to a company's best interests if kind of cater to that mobile first experience,
right.
from what I've seen.
And what softwares as of a service would you say are industries to go in 2025? What would you say?
Ooh, industries to go in. I would encourage people to look into medical industries, right? They're always changing, evolving. There's always something to be done there. Um, you know, um, IT infrastructure and security right. I think this is something that's starting to become really big, especially with AI right now. Security systems are people. The biggest thing right now is compliance. About 80% of most folks in America aren't, or that own a business probably aren't security compliant. It's a very kind of small number, uh, and there's a lot of security professionals that want to help get there. Retail is great, whether in your e-commerce space or maybe you're uh, maybe selling something. Retail, medical, and then I mean, honestly, something that we've been looking into now is government contracting, right? Not necessarily a SaaS in the sense, but it does provide a lot of value for uh, companies right now that are maybe new and looking to kind of aim a little higher than what they're normally getting, because the government's always needing operational efficiency, right? And if you can go and present to them a better way of doing things, and you
There's that
have a good
software, you're
connect.
going to get the deal.
Yeah,
Wow.
and you have a good connection, assuming within the network, then yeah, people want to hear about that. I'm helping another gentleman right now who does government auditing, but has built a software as a service platform to help them do that. So he launched it into the private industry. Private industry loves it, continue to grow on his users, but now he's working on a deal with the FDA, right, to kind of figure out what that means and how to tool that with its application. So, um, you know, I think I mean, in marketing too is probably the last real big one, right? I mean, there's so much marketing tools and automations that are coming out. Like,
Yeah, and that's where we go into AI. And this is where we're going to go
mm-hmm.
deep into the UX Bright podcast is guess what? If you have a product that is software for as a service that you're going to kill it for with using AI, that's going to be intriguing. It's going to be intriguing
Yeah.
because there's so many different opportunities. All right. Best place people can find info on you for UX Bright. Where can they go?
Yeah, absolutely. You can check me out on LinkedIn, Christopher Richards, and see if you can find me. I'm the founder at UX Bright. You can also check us out on uxbright.com. That's uxbrite.com. And then, yeah, if you find me on any other social medias, happy to connect and just reach out.
All right.